Hello and welcome to Commandos y Comics. This is episode 234. We're your host. I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Welcome back, ladies. Just wanted to let everybody out there know that we have been MIA for a bit, but we're back and we're so glad you stuck around. This is the first episode of the new year, 2025. And just 2025 has come with some horrific disasters. We are in the middle of the fire right now. A lot of people we know personally in the comic community and also personal friends have been affected by these fires. A lot of people have evacuated. We know some who have lost their homes. So just watching the news, you see it and you think, gosh, that's just happening north of us. And then we find out that all these people have been directly affected by the fires, and our hearts and prayers go out to you guys. We're really sorry this is happening to you. And I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's surreal watching it on TV and seeing neighborhoods that I would run in every Saturday with my running group and the LA Leggers. We would run in the Palisades almost every other week. And the street, the Temescal Canyon road that we would run up is completely decimated. The homes and the freaking Gelsons and just all the small businesses that we would run by are completely just razed and gone. And that is just so horrible to see. I personally know a couple of people in the Palisades who lost their home. I know I know two people in Altadena who lost their home. And it's just something that is going to take quite some time to rebuild from. But like Sarah said, our thoughts and everything are with everybody, and anything that we can possibly do to help with any of that rebuilding, I hope that people will reach out and let us know.
Mm-hmm. And even if you're unaffected by the fires, I'm living up north in the Bay Area now. I have you guys who I know, I have friends, I have family as well. There are people on my Facebook group saying like we're safe, we're evacuated, and it's just, one, I didn't realize I knew that many people. And two, it's like these are like historic communities as well, at least two SoCal iconic communities, really.
Yeah.
They're gone. So you can always like donate to support the LAFD, the LA Fire Department. They especially need it right now, especially since they were cut funding because, more money to the LAPD or whatever. So you can donate to the fire department. You can also donate to many charity organizations that are currently helping out, or even just the local restaurants and businesses that are opening their doors to people who have had to evacuate. You can always support them as well. I'm pretty sure they also take donations so that they can continue giving these free services to people who have been displaced. There's a lot that you can do. Its thoughts and prayers are 100% wonderful and well needed, but also actions also help.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have been collecting donations and stuff like that, like pet food also, like all these clothing for children, milk for children, stuff like that. But Kristen was telling us that, there's not enough volunteers that can sort through everything. So basically, I think what would help more is actually just money at this point. And we're going to be posting a lot of websites and for people who are having crowdfunding, GoFundMe projects that are up that have lost everything, and also sites where you can actually donate and try to help from afar. I know a lot of people would like to be able to have the time and the resources in order to volunteer personally, but there's so many people and also want to donate items, food, and all of that, but there's no place to cook the food. There's no can openers, basically just, I guess, funding with money to these organizations that are out there on the floor just doing the work. And definitely thoughts and prayers. And that is definitely something we would appreciate. And it's just really horrific to know a lot of people that have lost it all. But we're really happy that a lot of people have made it out safely, and then we just hope these fires can be over soon and be stopped, and just were just devastating to watch. So just keep an eye out, keep your hearts open, and thank you so much. All right, guys, now it's time for Chisme de la Semana. And Kristen, you had some chisme for us today.
Yes, I actually have some comic book chisme. For those of you that are big fans of Adventure Time is slated to have a new comic book released in April. Let me see. In April of 2025. It is going to start with a new series, ongoing monthly series, starting with number 1. And I never was a big Adventure Time watcher, but the episodes I did see affected. I mean, I was there. I think one time we were at book club and somebody had me watching an episode of Adventure Time and I was bawling my eyes out. So I know that Adventure Time was a big kind of like iconic movement for a certain era of or generation of watchers, and not even young kids for the most part, like grown ass adults who just really resonated with the characters and loved the stories that were told. So I think definitely this franchise is going to be welcomed with open arms. It's going to be published by Oni Press, and they're looking at right now for it being a monthly. So if you're an Adventure Time fan, definitely keep your eye open and put it on your pull list at your local comic shop.
Yeah, I loved watching Adventure Time with Jacob. This was many years ago now that I think about it, because he was way younger. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a father now, so
Yes.
it's just nuts, right? But no, it's a really good show, so I imagine that the comics are just as good, maybe even better. I also have a Chisme de la Semana, and it's just to announce. I wouldn't call it a chisme, more of an announcement. The Latino Comics Art Festival will not be happening this year, 2025. It is going to happen from now on every other year, just because there's a lot of work that's done behind it, a lot of
Behind the scenes
action where it's definitely a full-time, maybe even more than a full-time job to make this event happen. And it so happens that everybody has a regular job as well. So, but it's one of the best comic conventions I've been to. It's dear and very close to my heart. So I'm not sad that it's not happening this year. I'm just anticipating for next year, which is going to be bigger and better. So just an announcement, if you guys as creators or people that wanted to travel out to Modesto to be at this convention, the Latino Comics Arts Festival, just know it's not happening this year, but it will be back next year, bigger and better and bolder. So just keep that on your calendar, on your radar, and just we'll be announcing it anyway. So just keep listening just to find out what the days are when that's going to happen. So that's been my Chisme de la Semana. All right, guys, now it's time for On My Radar. Kristen, what is on your radar?
So on my radar is the Max animated series, Max/DC Comics, Creature Commandos. I watched the entire series last night, or entire season 1 last night. I just had intended to watch the first episode, but I got so pulled into the storyline and also the characters that Eddie and I binged the entire 7 episodes of the first season. So if you haven't seen, or if you're not familiar with Creature Commandos, it is in fact, what do you call it, a series that is based on comic book characters, but they are more like D-list characters, I guess, and characters that you wouldn't necessarily, when you hear their names, know that they were comic book characters, like Phosphorus Man. I'd never heard of Phosphorus Man before in my life. Rick Flag, I'd never heard before in my life. Actually, that's not true. The only reason I know about Rick Flag is because Frank Grillo is the actor who voices that character, and that just happens to be Eddie's boyfriend. So basically, as I was saying, if you're not familiar with Creature Commandos, they are kind of like a Suicide Squad type
Oh, okay.
idea. So in the series, Amanda Waller, she always has her hands in trying to get villains and people who are in jail to do her dirty work. But basically, that's what's going on here. These are all like quote unquote villains who are in jail. I don't know that I don't think it's Arkham. It was something else. Bellevue, something. I don't remember. But anyway, and so the story basically is that she has this mission that she needs them to go on, and Rick Flag is the like leader of the mission. I think he's ex-Marine or whatever, and I don't think he has any special powers. He's just a human, but he is in charge of the other of the they're not villains, but they're people who were in jail and they committed some crime. I guess some people could see them in villains. And so the cool thing that I liked about this series is that each episode, which it wasn't very long, was like about half an hour, I think, was kind of cut in half. Half of it was moving forward the story of what this mission was and what they were doing to get the mission taken care of and make sure that whatever they were trying to prevent from happening didn't happen. And that was part of the story. But the other half of the episode was kind of delving into the background of each character that made up the team of Creature Commandos. And I really enjoyed that a lot. It kind of reminded me of the way that Bitch Planet did the same thing, where
Yeah.
these women who were on Bitch Planet were committing whatever quote unquote crimes that they were being accused of committing. We got to see their history and how they got to where they were and really kind of have some empathy for their situation. And that's exactly how the story kind of pinpointed each character of like what their history was, how they got to where they were, and getting the audience to have empathy for where these people were in committing the crimes that they did commit. And some of them weren't even actual crimes. It was just the situation that they were in. And the big deal about this, that when it came out, was that it's written and directed by James Gunn. And it was kind of like the way that people saw it, the saving grace, the Hail Mary for DCU, because the DCU kind of was failing in all the movies that would come out into the theaters. None of them were ever as successful as Marvel, and people just kind of felt like they fell flat, that there wasn't a lot of, it felt like that there weren't comic readers or people who appreciated comics or knew anything about comics making these movies. That's what people thought it felt like. And so when it was announced that James Gunn was coming out with all of these kind of like, it was a series of movies that they announced, or series of projects that they announced. And Creature Commandos is the first one that came out. And I honestly really think that if this is any indication of how the rest of them are going to go, we have a lot of amazing projects coming out. Another one coming out, I don't know if it's the next one, but Superwoman, is it Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow? Amazing freaking story. If you've never read that graphic novel, that trade paperback, actually, I think it was a trade, it wasn't a graphic novel. Read it. It is so amazing. I love it so much. I didn't actually realize that I was going to like it as much as I liked it, but I can't recommend that one enough. And he's making a movie out of that one. I believe it's live action. So definitely, for being the first project that came out of James Gunn's back pocket with the DCU, I can't recommend Creature Commandos enough. And this is just season 1. Season 2 is already slated to come out. And definitely Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. If you haven't read it, read it. And definitely look forward to that movie coming.
Well, that sounds amazing. After this episode, I'm gonna go binge that whole season as well.
Yes.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing.
It's really good.
Yeah, it sounds, from the snippets that I've seen of it, I want to watch it.
Excellent. All right, guys, it's time to drown my sorrows in beer. So what time is it? La hora de la cervecita.
And this is like a little cervecita. It's a little cute bottle with little gnomes on the front. They are they're fanning the flames of like a little fire. I don't think they have marshmallows or anything, but they definitely have glasses of beer.
Just
Did you didn't actually get this in Belgium when you went, did you, Sarah?
no. As you can see, it's definitely it's a Christmas themed beer. And the reason that is that I got a little bit excited and went to 2 shops and just got a bunch of seasonal beer for our podcast, not realizing we were going to take time off during Christmas. So yes, I'm sure you can still find this. I got this at Whole Foods, and it is a Belgian beer, and it's actually from the people that we were gifted this same maker of beer in the same bottle shape from one of our fans and local artists, Chica Artista on Instagram, and she is the author and artist of the comic Mercy, which we reviewed some episodes ago. So when I saw this beer in a Christmas setting, I thought we have to try it. So that's why we're trying Christmas beer in January.
I mean, the weather still fits.
It's true. It's nice chouffe or chauffe. I don't know, but it's a Belgian dark beer. And the little snippet in the back says that when little animals in fairyland hibernate, the Achouffe gnomes love to gather in their cottage. By the gentle firelight, they spend long evenings telling the best Ardennes stories while enjoying a delicious, nice chouffe. Smooth with spicy notes of thyme and orange peel, this dark beer links both herbs and atmospheres, making even the coldest winters joyful. And that honestly makes me so like wanting to try it. Like it sounds so good. It says Belgian dark beer brewed with spices, orange peel, and thyme. Like that doesn't sound at all like it makes any kind of sense. But I feel like it's going to be so holiday spicy, like Christmassy, kind of like a chai tea. That's what I'm hoping.
Boom. Yes, and I mean, I really like the little art, and I don't know, but like I know that in the Netherlands and I know in Iceland, they're big on like gnomes and fairies. So I don't know, is Belgium the same way as well? I'm gonna say
I don't
yes.
know.
In general, they kind of are.
I dropped the
Okay.
smells good. Is there the little gnomes are on the lid too?
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that. I
Okay.
hope this doesn't interfere with my medication. I'm just kidding.
Famous last week.
I'm like, oh no.
I took my medicine hours ago. It's fine.
On that note, this is a 10% ABV.
Well,
this
shit.
is
Good
not
thing I
messing
ate.
around. Yeah, I was actually just thinking that I haven't eaten since like 4 o'clock. That was 4 hours ago.
What?
Ooh. That was much stronger than I anticipated.
Yeah, me too.
I am enjoying it.
Me too. I really like the subtleness of the spices in the back.
The front of my first drink, I tasted the orange peel, but I don't taste it anymore. I definitely taste the thyme and the spices.
Yes, definitely. But it's really subtle. It's not like overwhelming.
And the darkness of the beer, definitely, that was my first reaction is like, okay, yes, this is a dark beer. And then I tasted the orange peel and then the spices, but now the orange peel, I can't find it again.
Just that initial.
And I meant to pour this in a glass and I forgot the glass. But it's pretty darn good.
I like it, yeah. I
like it too.
Partial to Belgians. So you also do get that unique characteristic Belgian beer taste, which I know at some point in the past I looked up what makes a Belgian and it's the brewing technique. And I think the different kinds of actual ingredients that are used. And it gives Belgian beers that that very unique, specific taste. And there's definitely that in this beer, which I like. And the saddest thing that ever happened to me in my life was when our local Belgian brewery started to jump on the IPA train and didn't brew as many, if any, Belgians anymore. That was the saddest thing because that was my favorite brewery for a really long time.
No, but I really am enjoying this, and yes, it does. It really I've been drinking water all day, but
Me
as soon as
too.
as soon as I had this, it kind of gave me a warm kind of belly feel. Like, yeah, definitely. I think this is definitely something you can enjoy on winter and in front of a fire and just kind of like with your socks and maybe even
With your local gnomes.
with your local nose, just,
Yeah,
just
you
a
gotta
little.
drink enough until you see them coming to you to visit you.
Yeah, and
It'll
also
definitely
it's
get you there.
10%, so it's
Yeah, that's
definitely
will get you there.
yeah.
It's totally off topic, but we were at the Crest on Friday and they had long drink there.
Have the long drink. Oh,
Yeah.
Mel, we gotta go move. There's a lot of different long drink flavors now too,
Yeah.
so I'm just like excited to see what they have to. And I gotta know if they have it on tap. Oh gosh, I'm kicking myself for not doing that. Next lunch date for sure.
I had it there once. It was just a can.
Oh, it was just a can. Oh,
Yeah.
but no, I'm really feeling this. I didn't think I would, but it's the one we reviewed before on a previous episode was La Chauffe, LA Chauffe. So this is nice chauffe.
La Chouffe.
Okay. Yeah, and it was a yellow label beer in the same bottle shape. So
Oh yes, I remember that.
La Chauffe. But no. I'm really enjoying this. This is definitely a sipper. You don't want to
Yes. Yeah.
this is something you kind of just sip through the day. And like I said, it's already making like my belly feel kind of warm. I might take off my sweater at any point. I don't know. But I'm really enjoying the flavor. It's really subtle. It's not anything like oh, the bells and whistles. It's just something really classic, really just standing the test of time. So what did you guys think, and are you guys ready to review it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So on our rating scale, we have a 5-point rating scale where 1 out of 5 is very unsatisfied, 2 out of 5 is unsatisfied, 3 out of 5 is right in the middle, neutral, 4 out of 5 is satisfied, and 5 out of 5 is very satisfied with a Super Saiyan if we feel like it is more than 5 out of 5, and a callback to our old rating system. If it's a below, very unsatisfied, below a 0, we give it a flaccid. So I really liked it. Like I said, Belgians are my favorite. What was it? Type of beer? Not type of beer. I guess type of beer.
Brewed beer?
Yeah. Style. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Favorites, brewed,
That
style.
10%
Brewing
getting to
style.
her.
Yes. And so off the bat, I already was favorably biased towards it, but the flavors really are hitting. I'm going to keep drinking it to try to be in search of that orange peel that I tasted in the very beginning. But I'm enjoying the spiciness of it. And when I say that, it's not like pepper spicy, but like thyme. And I know there's not saying that there's rosemary or dill or anything like that, but those kinds of spices. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 satisfied. Yes.
Well, I'm going to give it a very satisfied. I'm just going back to how we tasted, and we're really happy with La Chauffe. And then this being kind of more of a seasonal kind of like spices and stuff. There's not many Christmas beers that I like, but this one is really good. It's really subtle. Like I said, it's very elegant. I really love it. So I'm going to say very satisfied. What about you, Jen?
So I've been sick the past couple of days, and my sense of smell and taste are recovering. I didn't get COVID, but flu. So it still like affects it. But despite that, I can still taste this through all that. Through my still stuffy nose, my swollen mouth, it tastes really, really good. So with all honesty, I want to give it a 5 out of 5. But I can't because I am not getting the full range, and that's mostly on me. But from what I can taste and from what you guys are describing, I just know that this is 100% on my alley. So right now I'm just gonna give it a 4 out of 5, but I do think it truly deserves a 5 out of 5.
And I think, Jen, that with your full tasting and smelling capacity, you probably would lean more towards a 5. And the reason I'm not is because you two both love porters and stouts, and I don't. And this is a
Mhm.
dark beer.
Mhm.
And that darkness of the beer is what's keeping me from the 5, because even though I enjoy it and I like it, I'm not a fan of dark beers. It's not my go-to. So
Mhm.
I definitely think if you get an opportunity to taste it while you're feeling better, you really will like it.
Yeah.
Yes, and remember, I got this at Whole Foods, and I think I also saw it at
Whole
Total Wine.
Foods.
Yeah, Total Wine and More. So it's definitely a beer that you could possibly find at your local beer and craft beer area, like I said, Whole Foods, Total Wine and More kind of thing. So that has been our beer review. All right, guys, now it's time for our book review. What are we reviewing today?
I'll take you. A Lois Lane story.
Yeah. By Sarah Kuhn, and I think art by Arielle Jovellanos, with color by Olivia Pettini and lettering by Melanie Ujimori.
So this is a book in a series of YA books that DC released in 2024. I believe is this one 2024? Let's see. First printing. Yeah, this one's 2023. So what I was going to say is in the last couple of years, DC really took off on their YA line, and we've even read some of their books. We read Raven. We read Raven Loves Beast Boy, or Beast Boy Loves Raven. And
We've read a few more.
there,
The Jessica one, the Green Lantern.
yeah.
Mhm.
What was it called?
I don't.
And why can't I?
I love it too,
Oh.
but I can't remember the name for it either.
Yes, the Jessica Cruz YA book, which really, if you are interested, Jessica Cruz is a Latina Green Lantern, and her story actually deals a lot with the immigrant story and also deportation and how that really affects a family and the people, especially left behind. So definitely check out that book if you're interested. But this particular book is one that I'd been seeing sitting on our shelves at the shop for a long time, but I had no interest in Lois Lane at all.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why is she making us read Lois Lane? Let me tell you, I'm so glad you did.
I had no interest in reading it at all. The main reason why it found its way to our reading list is because it's a completely female, woman led artistic project. So all of the people on the project are all women, and they are all Asian. Now, I don't know if I missed the memo, if there was a memo, but first of all, when did Lois Lane become Asian? I know that these books are not what you would call canon. That I'm gonna say that they might be what is considered Elseworld books.
Yes.
So like other alternative universe books. But still, at the same time, I really need some explanation of why Lois Lane is Asian. Honestly, I feel like what it been?
I feel like it's been like not a recent push, but like within the last maybe 10 years, I want to say. Because if you look back historically, Lois Lane was a white woman.
Right.
In the old Superman stories and all that, Lois Lane was a white woman. But I will say this. When I was growing up and I was watching the old Adventures of Superman cartoons and stuff like that, and I would see Lois Lane, I thought Lois Lane was an Asian woman.
Right. Especially with eyeliner and the shape.
In the old Adventures of Superman, and I'm not talking about like the ones from like whatchamacallit, like the 90s. I'm talking like older, like the really old like cartoon ones that they had even. Still, I had VHS tapes of those that my parents would play for us. I saw Lois Lane and I thought she was an Asian woman. And it
So-
wasn't until later. But I do think it was a cartoon thing. Is this thing
So-
stuck with my face like that?
Yeah.
Yes. But I think it's endearing. It's cute.
Interestingly enough, it was like, wait, is this Lana Lang? Because the dude in the book says, and so then I got confused and I'm like, wait, Lang? Oh, is Lana Lang? Big Pam on Wikipedia and Googling Lana Lang, and then I read some more of the story, and I'm like, no, this is Lois. So for about half of the book, I thought I was reading Lana Lang's story, and then I realized no, it was Lois Lane, and it was just kind of funny because the whole Asian character threw me off. Now, having said that, I am flabbergasted at how much I enjoyed this book.
Me too.
I did not think that I was going to enjoy a story of a character that I could care less about.
I know, I understand.
Thanks for this.
Like, I'm gonna be real. Half of my struggle reading this book was just because I'm gonna be real. I've never liked Lois Lane.
You know, I
never liked her.
I didn't want to say it, but yes, also, like, I did not appreciate how she treats Clark. So fun for my youth. Like, so, and you know, like, especially Kidder's representation of Lois Lane in the Christopher Reeves Superman movies. I did not like her. I did not. And then, like, I kind of got endeared with her in the animated series, but I wasn't a Lois fan. And so
I couldn't stand her in like those old VHS tapes of Lois Lane or in Adventures of Superman. I didn't like her. I didn't like her when she came out in any of the in the later animated series, in like the Justice League stuff, in the later Superman stuff, in the newer Superman stuff. I don't like Lois Lane. I still don't like her, but it's not as much as it was before. I did enjoy this story, and I read it more as like an Elseworld story, and I'm just like, you know what? This is a different Lois Lane. Another Lois Lane.
For me, not liking Lois Lane boils down to that one iconic Superman cover where he basically is like, how could anyone think I'd ever want to be with a woman dumb enough to not know that I am Superman, that Clark Kent is just Superman with glasses?
Oh my god.
And you feel like the statement, you dumb bee, isn't for...
Having said that, though, this story takes place when she is in high school. Basically,
she's not in high school.
She's so sorry. She's in no, she's trying to get to
She's between
Metropolis.
Yeah, she graduated. She's graduated
the summer before college.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yes, but okay. So, okay, yes. So she's still young, and she is trying to get an internship. She's in an internship where she's going to get college credit, which I can relate to. Watch the struggle. You know why there's a very driven woman in this comic, which I totally love. But like we just said, she is Asian. She's a Japanese American. And we know this because throughout the story, we actually take part in reading a lot of the phone calls between her and her mother. And we get to kind of get a glimpse of how she grew up and what her mindset was as she was growing up and making her big plan for her whole life, her life plan, and then we also get introduced to a childhood friend that the others are best friends. Yes, her mothers are best friends, and they grew up together, but they grew apart in like middle school, and they haven't talked for years. And for some serendipitous moment, they find themselves together in, what was the city? Central City?
National City.
National City.
Yeah. And they find themselves that they get bamboozled by their parents, making them roommates.
They were reverse parent trapped, as they said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're very different. One is completely artistic, and then Lois is completely like driven by her reporting and how she wants to be a Pulitzer winning reporter in her future. And she's had these plans for many, 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 many years. She has a binder with all this information. And we see how obstacles start to present themselves within her internship. She starts to doubt herself. There's these phone calls with her mother. There's some regret on the mother's part on how she raised her. And I kind of really identified with that because you basically want your kid to grow up to be better than you and stronger than you. And sometimes maybe the way you go about doing that kind of affects the child as they're older now, as an adult. And so we see a lot of that. And I just thought that was extraordinary writing. I really enjoyed that. What about you guys?
Oh, you go ahead, Kristen.
Oh, well, what I was gonna say is there was multiple levels of stories going on. There was the main story of Lois basically moving away for the first time into adulthood. Her mom basically being very apprehensive about that, which is why she bamboozled her into living with her cousin Mickey. That they weren't friends anymore. But there's so many storylines going on in the background. We have the relationship between Lois and her mom. We have the relationship between Lois and Mickey. We have a romantic relationship that Lois is kind of feeling out in the background as well. And then we have a story about a woman who started her own business and then was taken over basically by a big billionaire company, and how she kind of maneuvers her way through feeling like a failure and then, figuring out how to make a comeback. We have a story about some creepy white guy who is culturally appropriating other writings in their playwriting. So many things in this story that every time I felt like something was resolved, it continued to unfold and more of that story came out. And I just really have to give Sarah, not our Sarah, but the writer of the book, Sarah, props for this multi-level storytelling that she did in this book. Because you know what? I think sometimes YA books are very singularly told. Stories are told.
Very linear.
And yes, and I think that this really takes into consideration that YA, which is generally 12 to 17, are very complicated in their own thought process. They can understand complicated storytelling, and I appreciate that Sarah appreciate their comprehension on storytelling. Also, I think that Sarah's grasp of actually being able to write in a way that resonates with that group is amazing. Like her use of social media and social media type like
Lingo?
language, but also just the way that the characters act and speak, I feel like is very, very true and realistic to that age group. And so I think that is really a very special skill for writers to have who are adults themselves writing for that age group, and to be able to be relevant and things that are current. Like if I tried to write as a young voice, it would sound like a 50-something-year-old woman trying to act and pretend like she was young. But it really felt genuine. Yes. And so I am and as a 50-something-year-old woman, the fact that I read this book and still was able to identify with some of the characters and really enjoy all the different storylines that were going on says a lot for Sarah's ability to actually tell a story that is worth reading for all kinds of aged readers.
Oh, absolutely. I totally enjoyed the endearing name that her mom gave her instead of Lois. Her name is Lois Lane. she'd call her Lochan. And the second guy I ever dated, his mom's Japanese and his father is German, and she would call him Rochan. So I felt like, oh, that's
Yeah.
freaking, like, it just was really something that kind of pulled me from the memory banks, and it was just really well written. And not to mention the art was just really amazing. There was a lot of, like, obviously emotional moments, and you could definitely see the emotion and the characters and how they're drawn, especially when Lois kind of went out of the way, kind of went in the basement to just kind of had like a oh moment, and then, like, you could see all that emotion, and all the background pictures were, like, really kind of emphasizing her kind of, like, roar moment, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, the art was really kind of sensational. I just really loved it. Really colorful palette. It just was really beautiful. What about you, Jen?
Like I said, Lois Lane is not my favorite character ever, and she's not going to be like ever up there. But I did enjoy reading this, especially reading it as kind of like a YA journey of like a young girl trying to become a woman in like working America and stuff like that. I thought that was it took me back to, struggling to get like not just like internships, but also a job, and then be like, damn, is this really what I want to do? There's like I should just like give up. Like, what am I doing here? I thought that was really, really good. I also think it's really funny how Lois and Mickey are both kind of, it might not really be my place to say, but it's just from hanging around with, like a lot of Asian Americans. It's kind of funny to see these two archetypes, I want to say, because they're not stereotypes. I want to say they're archetypes of the of Asian American girls that I know. Because an Asian American born and raised in South Central is different from one that's born and raised here in the Bay.
In the bear, yeah. Oh,
That's different. They're
yeah.
different. They're very different, and I've also seen that they come out in one of two ways. And what I've noticed is a lot of the Bay Area Asian American girls are a lot more, I want to say they're more like Lois, whereas a lot of the SoCal Asian American girls that I knew were more like Mickey. So more artsy, more avant-garde. I want to say a little bit less like they still like love their parents and stuff like that, but they had a little bit less of a regard for their desires versus their own desires. So I thought that was really fun, being able to see that and being able to recognize that.
So we can assume when Mickey moved away, her family moved to South Central Los Angeles.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, probably most likely.
I honestly feel like this Lois that we are reading about here in this book would never go after Clark Kent. Let's see what
I don't know.
freaking boring for her.
No, I mean, she's like her Noah. Like,
Hey, they were
setting
Noah's like being her type of guy, but then she'd be all about Clark Kent and not Superman. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you got a point. You got a point. I actually love the artwork where all the artwork is stunning and it's colorful palette. But what I really like is when they show like a little snippet in the background of the youth that Mickey and Lois had. It's kind of like a pastel sepia background, and I just thought that was really good to kind of differentiate the scenes and what she was trying to convey with just art alone and not any really dialogue, or there was no narration on here, mainly dialogue, so you could see the difference and that propelled the stories so much better. So it was a great fusion of the art style and the story being told in this comic. I think we're ready to rate it, guys. What is our rating scale, Kristen?
So our rating scale is on a scale of 1 to 3 conchas, because 3 conchas is the most Jen's mom ever let her eat in one sitting. So that was the best. But if we feel like the book is above that rating scale, then we do have our own personal rating scale that we use. And I'll go ahead and get started because, again, I was very pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this book, this story. I'm reading about Lois Lane, even though it's not the Lois Lane that I expected it to be. But honestly, that made it all the better because I am not a fan, like I said, but I am a huge fan of this Lois Lane. And I hope that there are more stories that come out about her working her way towards her eventual career as a journalist. And so I'm going to give it the whole panaderia. That's how much I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the side stories and little adventures that it took me on. I enjoyed the art. The art was amazing. And the fact that there was so much of Asian culture that I learned about just in reading this book, and a lot of kind of the similarities, especially with the mother-daughter dynamic that Asian relationship has to Latino moms and daughters. So for all those reasons, I'm giving it the whole panaderia. And what was that soup that she had that she ate even during the heat wave?
We said my mom cooked this during the heat. Oh, I felt so seen. Like seriously, like all Latina mothers cook soup in the freaking heat of summer, and I don't know why. And you know who has carried on the tradition? Frank. Frank cooks soup,
Oh, really?
and and I'm like, why are you cooking sopa in this heat? Like, and he's like, it'll make you sweat it out. Sweat what out? Like,
Yeah, she talked about how her mom used to make ramen from scratch and that she gets really intense about it in the summertime. So she craves it during heat waves. Yeah. So a big bowl of ramen. That sounds really good right now, actually.
see, crazy. Yes, I guess that's a thing. Cooking soups or sopas in
the middle of
heat
summer.
of summer. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
This is Sarah, and I'm also gonna give it the whole panaderia. I really loved. She created a whole freaking relationship that I could identify through a phone call. What? Because her mom was not present physically with her until the very end of the book, but throughout the whole story, she was present through video chat, and it's like, wow, like it was such amazing writing that I could totally, it was just a whole different part of a story that developed throughout the characters in the comics. So I'm gonna give it the whole panaderia. What about you, Jen?
I am gonna give it tres conchas and a cup of champurrado. Sorry. I just gotta stay true to my own, because like I enjoyed it. I love the book. I will definitely recommend it. So definitely giving it the three conchas. Am I in love with it? Not really. Simply because although I did like this, I'm still not a huge fan of Lois Lane. I'd be like, just read something better. Read Shadow of the Bat. Read Cassandra Cain. I love her. But
Which she also wrote, by the way.
yeah, which is great for her. I'll give her like, she's Sarah is a great writer, and this was a really great story. So I mean, it's not like I'm giving her two. I'm giving her three coaches. That's still full marks.
That's full marks, guys. Full marks.
Full marks. Full marks. Yeah. It's like, well, like, wow, you're getting an A-. You still got an A, but you know.
Especially by Jen standards, guys. Hello,
No, but it is a really well written, well drawn, greatly paced. I was worried we were gonna run out of pages before we resolved everything, but everything got resolved pretty well. And I enjoyed it. So tres conchas for me and a cup of champurrado. Girl taking over. Do recommend.
Excellent. That has been our book review. All right, guys. Now it's time for En la Libreria. And you know, it's En la Libreria with our co-host, Jen. Take it away, Jen.
Sorry, one moment. A little bit out of breath. Today for In the Libreria, I have Street Knights, issue number 1, a gritty new take on a super sentai. Sentai? Sentai? Sentai, yeah. So, Power Rangers meets new Jack City and Digimon with 5 teens become ancient warriors to protect their city from an intergalactic evil. So this is being done by Gabriel Laragan Villalobos. This is their first Kickstarter, but they are collaborating on this project with Godhood Comics, Wise Acre, and Pat O'Malley. So the story and the synopsis that they have right here is actually just pages from the comics, as well as like detailed like concept art and stuff like that, and a good like nice little chunk of what is going to be in the comic. So who are the Street Knights? 5 teens from different walks of life are trying to survive the chaos of their everyday lives, family drama, personal struggles, and the gritty streets of New York City. They don't know each other, but fate has other plans. One night, everything changes when a cosmic force descends from the stars. Strange, glowing eggs crash into their city, bringing ancient powers that choose these teens as their champions. Suddenly, they're no longer just regular kids. They're the Street Knights, warriors bound to protect the universe's balance. But this newfound power comes with a cost. An ancient evil, long buried, has also awakened. Jorok, an evil galactic overlord, will stop at nothing to reclaim the power of the eggs for himself, threatening to destroy the universe and create anew. Thrown together by destiny, the teens must figure out how to work as a team, harness their powers, and rise to the challenge. Along the way, they'll discover that being a hero isn't just about fighting, it's about who you are, what you stand for, and how far you're willing to go to protect the ones you care about. In Street Knights, the streets of New York become a battleground for cosmic power, and the fate of everything hangs in the balance. And then they give us more concept art. They introduce who the main characters are, and I think this is what really drew me to them, is that they're all people of color, and they have like a really like heavy, almost like kind of like streetwear inspired look that I really 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 like. And they have like, you know how like the Power Rangers, they have like their Zords and stuff like there. They have dragons, like little dragon avatars.
Now I know.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
And their names are like Flameheart, Chicharron, Beyonce, Junior, Wednesday, and Suki.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in. Just send me that link because I'm gonna pledge.
Well, like really cool. So they have like really cute like chibi forms, and then they have really cool like advanced forms. This is where like the Digimon aspect comes in. So there's a lot of information. I would read it all, but I'm kind of running out of breath.
Yeah.
And like they introduce us like the villains, the possible villains. They've got a Black Knight who's like the green/white knight from Power Rangers, like, you know. So definitely check it out. Check the artwork, looks so good. I cannot emphasize how cool this artwork looks like. And I believe we have shouted out Godhood Comics before, at least we've read or reviewed one of their books before.
Yeah.
So we know the publishing company at least is one that puts out good work.
Oh, absolutely. We did a Las Platicas with the founder of Godhood Comics, and we also rated and reviewed I think the first Godhood Comics that was put out by Godhood Comics, which is Antagonist, which has one of my most favorite iconic scenes of the comic book in my life. And I love Sandman, I love DC, and I love Marvel, but this splash page in the Antagonist lives in my heart forever. And if you want to know what that is, just go back and listen to the Antagonist review of that comic. And then also please do check out our Las Platicas with Comics co-founder Tyler. I forgot his whole name. I should remember, but
it's been a minute.
It's been
a while. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's just amazing, doing amazing things. He has workshops for people who want to create comics. I mean, he does so much so much. He's really just quite amazing. So if he's if he's behind this project, if Godhood is behind this project, I mean, it has a lot of weight to it. Just I'm excited, Sharon. Sign me up.
Yes. So they have a goal of $10,000 that they've actually already met and exceeded.
Oh, nice.
They are currently at $17,008 with 255 backers and 27 days to go. So anything like this thing's getting published no matter what. It's getting printed no matter what. It's just a matter of, are you going to be there to get it or not? So you can always make a pledge without expecting a reward. You just want to show your support. But the base pledge starts at $20, which is digital supporter. You get a digital PDF and exclusive behind the scenes content. So you get a digital copy of the book. At $40, you get cover A, the digital PDF, a thank you email, and a social shout out. At $50 is the Kickstarter exclusive, which is the cover B of the comic book. And this is, of course, the print copy. And there's only 250 copies of this, with some of them getting picked up. The digital PDF, an exclusive metal bookmark. And then the prices keep going on from there. Let me see. Do they have... Wow, they have a $10,000 one. Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, because all previous rewards, an exclusive invitation to animated premiere, and a hardcover edition signed. Okay, that's a lot. But the base pledge starts at $20, where you get a digital copy of the book as well as behind the scene content.
It hurts me every time I see you cough, so wrap it up, Jet.
So definitely check it out. Street Knights issue number 1. On Kickstarter.com. And Street Knights is just STREETKNIGHTS.
Excellent. You man. Yes. And the co-founder of Godhood Comics is Tyler F. Martin. So yes, like that.
Worth mentioning too is Gabriel Villalobos is Chilean. And I don't think we've seen very many Chilean creators, so I think that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. So check that out. I'm actually gonna go ahead and freaking fund this because I'm sorry if you say chicharrón, I'm there.
And every time either of you say it, I just picture myself going to the Mexican market and buying some because I'm hungry.
All right, guys, that's time for Juntos y Fuertes. Kristen, what do you have for us today?
So in the beginning of our episode, we talked a lot about the fires that are going on here in Southern California. And Jen and Sarah, you both spoke about how people can donate to and support what's going on here in the cities that these tragedies are happening. And I think it can be really overwhelming for people to know how and where to donate, because there are a lot of really horrible people in this world who take advantage of these kinds of things happening and all of a sudden either create nonprofits or organizations and start asking for money, and people out of the kindness of their hearts want to do something to help, and so they start donating to what they might not realize is a fake organization. So I wanted to share with you a website that you can go to that actually does its due diligence and not only shares with you different organizations that you can donate to, but also what percentage of your donation is going to go directly to the effort that you are wanting to support. And that website is called charitynavigator.org. That's CHARITYNAVIGATOR.org. And the one thing I do want to mention about, if you see something that doesn't say 100% of the money is going to the cause, don't take that as a reason to not give your money to that organization. please remember, and this is coming from somebody who's worked in nonprofits for over 20 years, that there are administrative costs that go into running a nonprofit and to making these things happen. And so you want all your money to go to the front lines, but you got to remember that this nonprofit needs to hire people to make that happen. And so just because it's saying that maybe 90% or 85% is going to directly to the cause, don't take that as a reason to not support that organization. But on this website, it will tell you what the organization is, where they're located, and what exactly they are doing to support the wildfires and the different organizations here in the area that are supporting the victims of the fire. So again, that is charitynavigator.org. And this is also something that can be used for just anything that is going on in all parts of the nation, not just these fires, but we have things popping up all the time, and people just want to know, where can I give money or how can I support? So definitely this is a place that you can go that is trusted and will definitely value your support.
Yes, definitely. We get bombarded by a lot of TikToks and a lot of links and a lot of Facebook posts. But if you're wary about donating there, then definitely check out charitynavigator.org. Thank you, Kristen, for sharing that with us. But again, don't be dissuaded by organizations that don't say 100% of your proceeds will be donated, because like she says, there's a lot of people working to help other people, and we just have to open our hearts and not have so much hate out there in the internet, and just anything you can give is greatly appreciated, and we really thank you for that. All right, guys, now it's time for saludos. And saludos goes out to the first responders out there, the volunteers, the firefighters coming from other states, coming to help us fight the wildfires in other countries such as Mexico and Canada. Gracias por su ayuda. Estamos en deuda con ustedes. Muchísimas gracias. I really appreciate that. Saludos goes out to everybody has donated and given up Starbucks for a week just to donate something towards these wildfires. We really, really appreciate you. Not affected personally, but I have been affected by a fire, not this wildfire, but a fire. And the feeling I got when that happened does not compare what they're going through right now. And I just cannot imagine how they're just like pulling through and finding the energy and strength within themselves and within the community to keep going. And I really appreciate everybody's kind words and everything towards everybody. I definitely want to thank the incarcerated firefighters out there that are fighting the fires as well. I know there's been a lot of backlash on how they're not being paid enough and basically being used because they're incarcerated, but there's been a lot of good stories where they have found their calling in these fighting these wildfires, and the big heart and the big just amazing beautiful sentiment of fighting these fires, even though they're inmates. Really appreciate that. So anybody out there who wants to help out anybody, just please remember there's a lot of volunteers out there also we want to thank. So yeah, we're gonna get through this, I feel. Thank you so much for all the wonderful energy, all the prayers, all the wonderful comments and everything. We really appreciate that. And I just also want to say that hopefully the people that are commenting really negative and hurtful posts can look upon themselves and look in your soul and know that you're wrong to wish death and destruction upon other people on this earth. And with that, this is the end of our episode. We have been your host. I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Goodbye, guys. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.